This is a first. The F-35B has never touched the deck of HMS Queen Elizabeth or the class of carrier, and that's what first-of-class flight trials is. It's bringing those two systems together, the F-35 and the ship, and making sure they're interoperable and melding the two together so we have a true fighting system to move forward for the next 50 years. To turn that corner and look at HMS Queen Elizabeth sat in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean with its own guard ship, a British guard ship sat next to it, filled me with pride.
It really was a momentous occasion. You know, the eyes of the UK and defence were watching us to see how we performed. So when those aircraft first arrived, and personal connection, Nathan Gray, who was flying that lead aircraft, good friend of mine, we flew Harriers together many years ago. To see the jet in the hover alongside and then finally land vertically on the deck was a real key moment. I think a massive sense of relief, but for everybody it was opening that next chapter of carrier aviation from the Royal Navy as F-35B landed on the Queen Elizabeth class, HMS Queen Elizabeth. That was the start of the next 50 years of what we're going to do with this ship. Back in 2010, it was in fact, very mixed emotions. It was a privilege to fly the last Harrier ever from HMS Ark Royal and the Invincible class aircraft carrier. The mixed emotions were that was the shutdown of our carrier strike capability for the Royal Navy and for the UK.
It was difficult to contemplate taking a decade out of carrier strike, but there was a promise and there was a carrot dangled at the end of the line in front of us that in a decade's time there would be this immense capability, and that was going to be F-35B on HMS Queen Elizabeth.
The carrier is built specifically for the F-35. We call it a 5th gen carrier. It's got all the systems that have been engineered and built into the aircraft carrier purely for the F-35. So no other carrier in the world has been built just for the F-35, and from the embryonic stage, this carrier was built just for this air vehicle.
It feels like we've moved forward about a generation in true capability, and so it's incredibly impressive the advances that have been made just in a short period of time. And the UK are going to be very, very, very impressed with what they get at the end of this trial. There are three elements of the total uniqueness of this ship: the ski jump, the twin islands, and then the shipboard rolling vertical landing. The F-35B can land with forward speed now. It can land on a ship with about 30-35 knots of overtake, and it doesn't need any braking assistance. It doesn't need an arrestor hook. It doesn't need arrestor gear. It just comes down in its semi-jetball mode and it hits the deck. We jump on the brakes and we bring it to a full stop. And this has never been done before. So that was by far one of the greatest accomplishments of this trial.
From the VL side, we've proven the vertical landing capability of the aircraft out on the amphibious assault ships. Now we're just doing it on this carrier, but specifically evaluating the turbulent effect of wind over deck with the specific ship structures that are here on the flight deck. The ski jump ramp is not new to us as a flight test team. We have a land-based ramp that we evaluated at PAX River. Slightly different profile here on the ship, so we're just evaluating the launch characteristics, everything from the loads that are imparted on the landing gear to how the aircraft handles on the flight deck with a crosswind to its launch performance as it goes off the ramp exit.
This trial has been the focus of our lives, so many people's lives, for the last 2 years. It's not all about the 8 weeks on board. In fact, it's mostly about the 2 years that led up to this.
The proudest moment that I'll look back to is thinking of the people. All the people within the F-35 ITF, such fiercely intelligent people working so hard, so dedicated to the cause of making this air vehicle the best in the world, which it is. But then also the people who built this carrier, and then more importantly, the people who actually live on board the carrier. This is a floating city, and it's the people on board right now that are making this happen. And those people won't change over 50 years. That's the defining moment of now.
The total professionalism, the total dogged determination, and the utter sacrifice that people have made in order to get to the point where we can fly on board this ship and absolutely knock it out of the park. That is what I will remember. Satisfaction lies in the effort, not in the attainment. And full effort is full victory. And we're going to walk off this ship knowing that we put in full effort. And that's why we'll walk off this ship feeling fully victorious.